In fact, it wasn't until one of the girls I had brought from New York saw me that she triggered a huge alarm in my head. You know, everything is AIDS. Mikey Tyson like, oh Lord, I done got over there, got a wife and AIDS. You know, that's the first thing they think. AIDS, AIDS, AIDS. AIDS, 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 AIDS. The new district attorney, Doug Gansler, and his assistant prosecutor, Carol Crawford, showed up in court with an 11-page document that made me sound like I was a Nazi war criminal. Crawford especially seemed to loathe me. She was a very masculine-looking woman with a severe shortcut. She seemed hell-bent on taking out her anger towards all men on me. I was her showpiece. Instead of keeping their end of the deal, these two liars trotted out every derogatory thing they could pin on me, including quotes from Teddy Atlas saying that Cuss had spoiled me as a kid. They quoted from my own interviews, including the Playboy interview from 1998, where I told Mark Cram, the writer, that I was a very hateful mother sucker who would blow one day. Then they cited Cram himself when he wrote that I was the darkest figure in sports that he had ever encountered. The defendant is nothing less than the time bomb buried in our own backyard. Can you believe this shiz? What was this? These two liars wanted to use an interview where I blew off steam and a diagnosis from Dr. Butterworth, who never laid eyes on me, to put me behind bars before this time bomb blew up. Anybody could see that these people were just out to abuse me. But no one cared because they probably thought I deserved it. Judge Johnson. Oh, I remember Judge Johnson. Judge Johnson agreed. He sentenced me to 2 years in jail with 1 year suspended and fined me $5,000 and ordered me to serve 2 years probation and perform 2,000 hours of community service. The negotiation to fight Lennox Lewis were in their final stages, and we were set to meet in April. So I decided to party a little bit more before I started to train. I took 2 young female street girls on vacation to Jamaica. They were my hangout partners. I wonder when he says street girls, do he mean prostitutes or just girls just from the hood? They were my hangout partners. I would go to Versace and dress them. Ain't you still broke, motherfucker? Why the hell is you still spending money on bitches? Shiz. They were my hangout partners. I would go to Versace and dress them. We had sex and got high together, and if I wanted other girls, they would get me some awesome chicks. I always had girls who would get me other girls. So if you saw me with a beautiful girl, you might have thought I was having sex with her, but most likely she was gay or bisexual, and it wasn't me she was interested in. And I'd get girls too. So we'd both help each other out. When Shelley heard that I was going to Jamaica, he flipped out. He knew I'd be wearing the most expensive jewelry, and back then people were getting robbed and killed in Jamaica right and left. So he sent the great Jamaican fighter, Michael McCullum, who was a world champion in 3 weight divisions, to get my jewelry. McCullum, nice to see you, I said. What are you doing here? They sent me to come and get your stuff, he said. Come hang out with us, bro. It's going to be a blast, I said. All right, but first you've got to take your jewelry off. These people are poor. Mike, if they see it, they'll take it, he said. F that shiz, I said. They don't want to take it. They want to see me with it. They ain't going to respect me if I go down there without my jewelry, I said. He was reluctant, but I wouldn't budge. And we went all over the worst parts of Jamaica, and nobody tried anything. All we got was love. I got the highest I had ever been in my life at Damian Marley's house, which had belonged to his dad. We were getting so high, we were sweating. And that wasn't no down weed. That was weed that kept you numb. It was exotic, intense, yet still relaxed. One night, McCullum took me to, of all places, a strip club. I was looking at all of these awesome Jamaican girls. Hey, Mike, I would like to get some of them to accompany me back to the hotel. How much do you think it would cost? I asked him. You could probably get that one there for $40,000, he said. $40,000 for her? I couldn't believe it. No, that's Jamaican money. $20 US, he explained. See, this is the bullshit. This is the bullshit right here. I don't give a fuck if you are in a damn desolate country. You know, they say you can go over there to the Dominican Republic and have a whole situation for less than $100. I mean, you could have about 5 girls for less than $100 over there. You might catch the AIDS, okay? But I mean, it's real cheap to have a fantasy over there. And these girls over here in Jamaica fitting to lay down with a damn millionaire, not really, and only get $20? I know you fucking lying. Fuck, let's get them all. Tell the place to close down, I said. They can't do that, Mike, he said. Pick 3 of them. So I picked 3 hot ones, and we all went back to my room and partied. When it was almost New Year's Eve, I decided to leave the girls behind in Jamaica and bring in the new year in Cuba for a few days. Rick, my security guy, insisted that he go with me. He was holding my passport. I didn't know it, but Shelley was nervous that if the Cuban government stamped my passport, the Americans wouldn't let me back in the country. The Cuban people were wonderful. I walked around and nobody bothered me. Mr. Tyson, I saw you walking. I couldn't believe it was you. You can't be walking by yourself in these streets. You need family. Yo, Poppy, you stay with me in my house. All right, cool, I said. I'm that kind of guy. He took me to his house, and now I had to line up a woman. So what is happening here, I asked. Show me the ladies. I like to go to a nightclub. Oh, no, you don't go to a nightclub for that. You need a wife. Stay right here. And this guy ran out, jumped a fence, ducked into an alley, and minutes later, out of nowhere, he came back with this beautiful young lady wearing a summer dress. I have your wife, he said. Is this one okay? I couldn't believe I couldn't possibly do any better. I didn't want to mess this up and make this girl feel I didn't like her. How could he possibly top this girl? This one is just fine, I said. I thought this was some pimpo shiz, so I reached into my pocket. How much do I owe you? How many dineros? No, he said. You are family now. This is your wife. This woman was wonderful. If I needed anything, she'd get it for me. She was so attentive. We walked around a bit, and then we went back to this guy's house because he wanted to make us a nice dinner. His wife cooked some nice lobsters, and then the guy brought a couple of bottles of wine to the table. I couldn't believe my eyes. One of them was a bottle of Lafite Rothschild. That was a $2,000 bottle, but these people didn't have money like that. They were living in what was basically a rundown tenement building. I thought that maybe somebody in the guy's family had worked at one of the hotels that Meyer Lansky owned, and when the revolution came, they took off with this bottle. He was trying to be hospitable, bringing out his nicest bottle of wine, but I didn't have the heart to drink it. So I suggested that we open the cheaper bottle. My host planned a big night out for us. We were all going to go to the spectacle stage show they put on in Copa Room at the old Hotel Habana Rivera, which used to be owned by Lansky. The only problem was that on the way to the Riviera, he was throwing up. Mikey Tyson, you know you can't drink that cheap shit. You can't drink the champagne, Okay, you should have stuck with the other stuff they was trying to give you, that expensive stuff. I didn't realize it at the time, but the lobsters had been boiled in unpurified water, and I must have gotten a bad case of Montezuma's revenge. So I got my wife and I thanked my host by giving him a beautiful, expensive ruby bracelet I had on. And then we got a cab back to my hotel. My girl had never been in a nice hotel because the Cuban government doesn't allow locals to go into tourist hotels. They claim that they do that to protect the tourists from prostitutes who might slip them a Mickey and rob them. But I think they just don't want the Cuban people to get a taste of the luxury life. I guess the news that I was there had spread. I was bare-chested and I didn't have any underwear on, and my pants were loose from all the vomiting, and you could see my plumber's crack. So the last thing I wanted was the paparazzi to film me. When we got to the check-in desk, I thought that I'd have to finesse my girl inside, but the receptionist told me that government officials had called the hotel and that it would be okay for me to bring any guests to my room. I felt better in the morning. I left my girl in the hotel room and I met Rick, that's the security guy, in the lobby. We went to the airport to wait for our plane and we were both hungry, but Rick didn't have any more money on him either. I was surrounded by tourists asking me for my autograph, so I started bartering the autograph for food. Please, if you would be kind enough to buy some food for the autograph, I asked. In case they didn't speak English, I demonstrated by pointing to the food stand and making believe I was eating. When I got to Cuba, I must have weighed 270. But when I got back to Jamaica, I had lost about 30 pounds. I hadn't considered that I had food poisoning or some parasite. In fact, it wasn't until one of the girls I had brought from New York saw me that she triggered a huge alarm in my head. You know, everything is AIDS. Mikey Tyson like, oh Lord, I done got over there, got a goddamn wife and AIDS. You know, that's the first thing they think. AIDS, AIDS, AIDS. AIDS, 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 AIDS. I was worrying the whole flight back to New York. I was also still a little high from the last of the coke I had in Jamaica. Usually I just breezed through customs with the royal treatment. But this time, I was met by people from Homeland Security, and these guys were all hard asses. What were you doing in Cuba?
How did they know I was in Cuba? It wasn't on my passport. Then I remembered the fight I had with the paparazzi in the lobby of the hotel. It was all over the news. I was just hanging out for New Year's, I said. So you figured you'd just take off and go to Cuba for a New Year's vacation for a day, disregarding the laws we have in place that prohibits travel to Cuba? The official said. I did it from Jamaica, I said, as if that was any better. Did you spend any American funds? He asked. I had Cuban currency, but nobody took it. They only take U.S. dollars over there. I told him I bought Cuban money because I thought they would take it, but I got scammed. This was not the best time to be caught sneaking into Cuba. First of all, why would you even go there? That's like the craziest mess ever. Like if Americans say don't go there, God damn it, just don't go. I'm not gonna go. And it's like if your old man say to you, you're not going out tonight. Here I go, old man or old lady, whatever it is that you doing that day. If your old man or your old lady say to you, don't go out tonight, you shouldn't go out because maybe that ninja knows something that you don't know. If we in war with them or America don't like them, because guess what? If I get in trouble over there, then America ain't gonna come save me. When them people get over there in other countries and they get fucked up, it be taken for ambassadors and what is that place? The United Nations and all kinds of shenanigans for people to be able to get back over to the United States. So I'm not about to go over to a country where I got to jump through hoops to get back. This was not the best time to be sneaking into Cuba. Bush had just been elected, and he said that he was going to crack down on any relations with the Castro government. So I played the religious card. Am I being held here because I'm Muslim? I asked the lead interrogator. This ain't no Muslim shit. I'm just trying to have a good time, brother. They all laughed. Once I get a laugh out of people, I'm a ham. So I gave them a little shtick, and they said, go ahead, you can go. So dig this right, girl, child. So Mikey Tyson is convinced that he got the heebie-jeebies, okay? I ain't gonna call, well, he convinced he got AIDS. This is during a time where we did not have the medication that we have now, okay? Where you can live successfully with the HIV or the AIDS, okay? Child, it ain't even a big deal to me, because I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, honey child, it ain't the HIV and the AIDS that's the problem anymore. It's the herpes, because they can damn near make the HIV and the AIDS disappear. It's the herpes that ain't going nowhere. So I said, until they make a pill that can make the herpes disappear, I don't think it's a concern with the HIV. But anyway, this ninja is scared to death because he believes that he has the HIV because he done lost all this weight. Finally, he went to the doctor, and the doctor confirmed that he was HIV free. Ninja, you went over to Cuba and got food poisoning. Now you over here about to lose your mind. The Lewis fight was scheduled for April, so I didn't have much time to stop doing booger sugar and weed and start training in earnest. I was still high on booger sugar when I flew to New York to do a big press conference with Lennox on January 22nd. They had us facing each other on slightly elevated platforms on one big stage at the Hudson Theater. The Showtime announcer, Jimmy Lennon Jr., introduced each of us like it was a real fight. As soon as Lewis was announced, I lost my mind. I looked over at him and wanted to hit the MFer. So I got off my platform and went up in his face. I guess Lewis was expecting trouble because he had about 10 huge forest tree-looking mother hunchies hiding in the wings. So as soon as I did that, they all came rushing out. I was only there with a few of my bodyguards, Anthony and Rick, and my trainers, and also Shelley Finkel. The Lewis camp must have thought that we'd see these big guys and run. I moved up to get in Lewis's face, and one of the bodyguards pushed me back. So I threw a left hook at him. Lewis then threw a right at me, and Anthony threw one back at Lewis, and all hell broke loose. I went to Hawaii for my training camp. That should give you some indication of how much I was motivated for this fight.